Hey everyone, welcome back to the Weekly Awakening Podcast. This is your host, Cosmic Colleen, back with another weekly astrology update, episode 294. Like I said on last week's episode, this week should feel much better than last week did. This is a restoration of our energy this week. That's what's happening for us, because last week it was definitely all the feels. It was tired, but emotionally, mentally tiring and draining, and especially my cardinal placements felt it the most. But right now, this week, the restoration of our energy, and we are ending with the weekend in a Taurus moon, new moon, a warm and cozy new moon. I think it's a relatively good new moon. Like I said, this week, not too much is happening, so we should all be healing or resting our nervous system, unless you have kids and boys and girls, all of them. And then it's always teaching yourself, being a parent. I'm sorry, I just had a morning with my children this morning, and I thought, oh my God, I wouldn't trade it for the world. We're teaching them how to be people, but we also need to get some good habits, and you need multiple habits at calming your nervous system all day long, because that's all you're going to be doing, is just resetting your nervous system until they're 18, and even then in different ways. But back to this new moon. Before we hit this new moon, we have Mercury in Taurus, sextile Jupiter in Cancer on Wednesday the 13th at 12:43 a.m. So we will be feeling it tonight. I guess that was yesterday, because I gathered what I was going to talk about yesterday. So we have the new moon in Taurus at 4 p.m. East Coast time at 25 degrees on Saturday. Then on Sunday, the 17th, Mercury enters Gemini at 6:26 a.m. Monday, the 18th, 6:25 p.m., Mars enters Taurus. And at 9:05 p.m., Venus ingresses into Cancer. Then Wednesday, the 20th, we are in Gemini season at 8:36 p.m. So Gemini season begins with only a few hours left on the 20th. Remember what I talked about last week? People born on the 20th, if they are born in the morning, at 8:36 a.m., they're still going to be a Taurus, and they're going to be actually on the cusp, because we do not switch in there until 8:36 p.m. East Coast time. I am really loving these next few weeks, especially coming from all the chaotic energy from February to basically May, honestly, until last week. There were some good times in there too, but it feels like just a fiery whirlwind, right? I said we're moving into a fire year. The beginning still had a little bit of a crossover of the water, but I don't know if I know the way our brain works, each year works, goes a little faster, but it's not only has it gone fast, I don't even know what's happening. Is anyone else and I feel like this is very Saturn and Neptune in Aries. That is the host, the sun, right? And it's like sort of this fast delusion's been happening, even in my own life, and nothing bad. It's just I look back and people are like, what'd you do on Saturday? And I'm like, I don't know. And it takes me a while to get there. Don't tell me that's aging. I don't think it is. I think we're in a really crazy fire year, and it's just getting started. And the fire, having Saturn and Neptune, is keeping it all blurred. And I don't think I'm alone there, okay? So chew on that. It's it feels like it's moving at warp speed, extra, extra fast. So the energy, during February to May was intense personally and collectively. We had two slow-moving planets shift into Aries, like I had just said, and then another, which was Uranus, into Gemini. When the planets move slow, their effects are felt much stronger, especially in the beginning for a while. It's louder because they stay in a sign for so long. It's a long progress, but when they ingress into a new sign, it's boom, an atomic bomb just kind of sets off. Where maybe, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, even the faster moving planets, it feels kind of like a little car fire. So it spreads out for a while when these outer planets shift in. It kind of is like a ripple effect that takes a while, a couple weeks, months to shift in. And then now it's going to be a slow progression with whatever showed up in your life. So we've been feeling those effects strongly and for a while. So you weren't crazy. This has been intense. And like I often say, we're in a joint frequency too with the collective. So it just is, what is happening is all I just am going to say. So let's talk about this new moon in Taurus first. Right after the exact conjunction, there will be a conjunction with Mercury. So this new moon is nicely grounding Mercury before Mercury enters its airy home domicile of Gemini. And before we begin Gemini season, which we will need all the grounding we can get because this Mercury and the Sun will be conjunct Uranus, kicking off this Gemini season with a new 8-year cycle. But I will discuss that on next week's episode. I feel like each episode I just have something more to say about Uranus and Gemini. This new moon in Taurus really brings a good, restful energy where your mind feels aligned with your body. This is a time where you are doing everything right for your body naturally. You'll be drinking enough water, taking your vitamins, sleeping right. I'm talking about this weekend. Those type of habits that are important but sometimes hard to maintain are going to come very natural with this new moon. So how can we harness them? How can we keep them in our lives? How can we take on the fixed energy that having a new moon in Taurus brings? And following through the commitment with your mind, body, and soul. As a mutable sign, I know I give my fixed placements some shit about their character energy being very fixed and not being able to shift their mind very easily. However, let's talk about the great thing there that they have that mutables don't, is that they can follow through. They can hold on to a commitment. They can stay with someone through good and bad. And that could be a job, that could be a person, that could be a place, that could be a thing, especially if it's something that they know is rooted in something real. So sometimes it is to your detriment, just like with mutables. Sometimes not committing at all is to our detriment as well. So how do we merge both energies, which I like to use when we have a new moon, a full moon, or other transits in the signs? How can the rest of us take on that energy? So we need to follow through and learn to commit just like those fixed signs do. The fixed sign is Scorpio, okay, 10 out of 10. I was just thinking this, just to give you a little more description, is usually, every time I see it, the hardest working athletes I know. They don't stop until they are perfect and they are so competitive. And when I see a really competitive but good player who's super disciplined, I'm like, they got Scorpio placements. My he has this extra basketball coach who actually coaches people that have been in the NBA and stuff like that. And over the years, I go and he does group lessons, but I've paid for some personal lessons. And of course, I had to do his astrology. And I looked, and he was a Scorpio rising. He had a Venus in Scorpio, a Mars in Scorpio, a Mercury in Scorpio. I think he had a Jupiter in Scorpio, and a moon in Scorpio. I was like, holy shit. And his whole practice with this shooting with my son, shooting basketballs, was one move. He wouldn't stop until he made this basket correct. And it was for an hour. I was like, whoa, okay. That is a Scorpio mindset. That's a fixed mindset. And when I see even babies, I don't know why I'm going on Scorpio tangent right now, but when I even see babies, I have a friend who just had a super Scorpio placement in November. I think to myself, they're going to be an athlete right away, or, very committed to physical health, and they have that competitiveness. So starting this new, just to give you guys, again, that good idea of that fixed energy, that commitment that we're taking on. But we're taking it on, since it's in Taurus, opposite Scorpio, it's in Taurus, we're taking on in a more earthy, grounded way of commitment. Starting this new moon cycle in the earth sign and with Mercury is bringing us the natural energy to do what's best and healthy for us. But how are we going to continue when it isn't easy? When the energy isn't on our side, because the energy isn't always on our side. As a planet shift, we know that we shift day to day, moment to moment. So some days it's there and some days it's not. We need to focus in on gaining more committed mindset. Now, I know that's hard for my mutables, like I had just said, but we ask the fixed to be flexible. So now that's do it the other way around, and that's be more committed. That's take in more committed mindsets. And we all can do this, right? We all, especially in a world in general, here's the collective, nobody commits anymore. Eventually everything shifts back. These are some awareness questions I want you guys to bring up with this new moon. What healthy habits are coming naturally to you now? So this weekend, maybe even this week beginning today, to you now that you want to continue? What stopped you from following through or got in your way last time you tried to maintain this mindset? What does it feel like when you commit to something and see the results? It's incredible. I have done things with my weight loss, with exercise, with things like that, where I've followed through and I've seen the results. And even or just self help, like growth things, when I respond differently in a healthier way than normally I would, those results are incredible. Okay, it is the biggest dopamine rush and probably the healthiest dopamine rush we can get. So what does it feel like? Go back. If you're having trouble committing, go back to what it feels like when you got the end result after really working hard for something. How can you hold yourself accountable to these mental and physical commitments? Commitment is something that really doesn't come natural to me with having so many, like I said, mutable placements in various layers. It has taken me a lifetime to evolve, and this will be an forever evolution. And it's funny because the universe, right, or if there is, like I believe, a cycle through astrology as we come through, gave me two very fixed placements. I've shared about this all the time. Most of their placements in astrology are fixed, and they're slowly taken over, but they have both taught me a lot about like staying and committing. During this new moon, the communication will feel very grounded and bring a calm conversations full of support and understanding. So in the general energy, calming and cozy, relaxed fun, healthy habits that bring joy, or you see the joy in taking care of yourself, grounded support and conversations, healing the feminine and female relationships, a strong support system. Taurus placements, I'm going to give you guys my fixed placements, Taurus, Aquarius, Scorpio, and Leo. I am going to give you guys each a horoscope. So Taurus placements, this is the first new moon or new moon cycle in Taurus where Uranus won't be present. It won't be present with you guys. This new moon is especially potent for y'all in a very good way. There isn't any more surprises for your life path, and you are laying seeds with ideas for your life that didn't seem like they were possible because life hasn't been so typically predictable for you over these last 8 years. It felt like every year there was a new shift and you're like, what the heck? Or maybe it was too chaotic and you couldn't grab on to these ideas that you've wanted to do in your life, these thoughts, these manifestations, and they now seem attainable for you. So use this new moon to really focus on your mindset, a newborn belief system. I just want to add what I talked about earlier in the general is that this is going to be a really potent time for healing, especially the healing of these last 3 years. Of these last 8 years and coming together with who you are, with family, with love, with understanding, with self-love. You're going to be less rebellious. You're going to be leaning in. So I think this could be a really good new beginning for my Taurus placements. Leo placements. This new moon is going to bring a release of friction that you have been feeling for a while, maybe even as long as 8 years while Uranus was squaring your Leo energy. That brought a lot of friction around friend groups and wanting to change groups or not quite feeling grounded in a group or really feeling lost as to who your people are and how that relates to who you are as a person, right? It's sort of like tinged that little ego and you got to see parts of your ego that maybe were really blocked for a while. So Leos do well with a pack. They like to be with a pack and they like to be liked by all of those around. And these last 8 years brought a lot of friction that led to that growth. So that growth, though, is now going to really start paying off with this new moon cycle. And you're going to be moving forward with a more committed group, but feeling comfortable. And maybe you're feeling comfortable in a previous group that you weren't sure about. Maybe you have a new group, or maybe you just, maybe you're a Leo who says, I actually don't even need friends anymore. I'm my own best friend now. That definitely is something that could be coming from this. But either way, deep inner reflections. Scorpio placements. My dear and beloved Scorpio placements, I'm loving that this is happening right now before Mars enters Taurus because I think it'd be a whole different story. But Mars in Aries still at this time, which is going to give you an even better and positive new moon in Taurus, which will be the opposition, right? This new moon is the opposition for my Scorpio placements. This is a really nice time to let go of resentments and regret because you will be feeling ready to cut and leave it in the past. Like you're finally ready to let it go. Sometimes my Scorpios will just hold on and they'll hold on and they'll hold on and they think it's like they can't feel something else or it's not real or something or it gets past someone. But the truth is resentment, like I always say, it only hurts you. There won't be any surprises with deep-seated resentment or regret, but there will be some deep contemplation on why it even exists in the first place and how it's kept you stuck. Like you're kind of waking up like, damn, why did I hold on to that? What have I been doing with myself from holding on to that? So naturally you're going to want to feel free of that and yourself and that freedom. will feel more natural and it won't be forced. So lean into that, please. My Aquarius placements, you're feeling less rebellious, chaotic, and more content with where you are in life right now. These last 8 years, you've been all over the place. You've had a square to Uranus and Taurus, physically, emotionally, mentally, where you were listening to others, and again, just you weren't listening to others, and again, just really leading with a rebellious nature, which you guys, Uranus is one of your ruling planets, so that's kind of natural to you guys. It's like, I do what I want, no one tells me what to do, I'm controlling the whole dynamic, and I'm going to be rebellious. So it's kind of like, can be a little bit of like, what's the saying, cut your nose in spite of your face energy. With Uranus out of the picture now, though, you are really seeing how you're much more settled into this new version of yourself that's been growing through this chaos. You are more confident and walking this life path with settled energy, and you're taking what others say a little more to heart instead of just dismissing them and saying, okay, well, maybe those that love me, those that are around me actually like know me in different ways than I know myself, right? It is important. We're only in our own head. So sometimes people that are with us all the time and watch us or listen to us actually in some ways know us better than we know ourselves. They know layers to us that we can't see from a different reflection. So maybe embracing it. You're not rebelling against people anymore. You're not rebelling against this place in your life because you realize you need to be settled and you're ready to move forward. So again, for my fixed placements, it's a lot when you have Uranus, and now we got Gemini, we got our mutable placements, but Uranus is a little bit better in the sign of Gemini than it ever was in Taurus. So Mars ingresses into Taurus, and like I said, for you guys, I think that is much better for this new moon than it would be if Mars was there right now. Mars ingresses in Taurus where it doesn't work at its best. It's in its detriment. It's in the Venus sign, and Venus they each don't like being in each other's signs. And I find that people in general, when I see people have a Mars in Taurus, they tend to be possessive, jealous, controlling in relationships. Or they can, especially if all of this is in like a 7th house for them, they could experience it from that dynamic. But just on a side note, Venus in Aries tends to come on strong in relationships, hot, heavy, love bombing, and then it ends as it started, maybe because they cheated a year later or something along those lines. They love that strong passion, where a Mars in Taurus wants to like grab on, hold on, and possess you. I'm telling you, sometimes when I see that in people's charts, or I ask someone and my friends, and I'm like, oh yeah, they're pretty jealous. So a Taurus placement, after this new moon, you can find yourself slipping back into some of those old mindsets that you broke free from, especially when Mars ingresses into Taurus. And this is just a test, okay? So don't be scared. It's not something big. This is just a test to see how you respond and to continue your paradigm shifting. Often when you really feel yourself, okay, I moved past something, you're often tested with it. And maybe that's just because that's a residual energy that's still there. Maybe our mind is still creating something in there. But either way, maybe it's the universe, maybe it's some unknown God. I don't know. I'm opened up to all of it. But it is a paradigm shift. And when that happens, you will be prepared to act differently and say, okay, you're not going to get me. I got this test. Don't you worry. And then it's almost like we're catapulted into the new layer, the new advanced paradigm shift for ourselves. In the general, with this transit, we will feel less energy though, but not as much if Mercury was still in Taurus. By the time Mars shifts into Mercury, Mercury will be in its home domicile, air sign of Gemini. So there will be strong mental energy, but we may be feeling more physically lazy, but we will enjoy it, if that makes sense. It may be a little too much, but there won't be Uranus there to amp up Taurus like it has been in the last 8 years. Venus ingresses into Cancer and will bring a square to Saturn and Neptune, but it won't be so bad as it could be, because Venus will be conjunct Jupiter before Jupiter gets ready. We're now in the last, 8 weeks of Jupiter, not to be exact, but around 8 weeks of Jupiter left in Cancer. So I kind of love that's finishing out this transit with Venus in Cancer there. So Venus is a planet of beauty, love, self-love, feminine. Is going to be a little bit needier than normal when it's in Cancer. Next week, you might find yourself being more clingy, especially for my cardinal placements. You guys know who you are, clingy with your loved ones, or even maybe having some aesthetic pressure, feeling pressured about your beauty or how you measure up. Again, this is a time to fight those rabbit hole thoughts, and you're going to be tested, and really tell yourself how beautiful you are and lean into your beauty. It is confidence. It really is. We are beginning this Gemini season with Mercury in Gemini, and that doesn't always happen. Sometimes Gemini season begins with Mercury in Taurus, and sometimes it begins with Mercury in Cancer. I feel like last year it began with Mercury in Cancer, but I can't quite remember. But this, I know last year, because I'm a Gemini May 24th at the beginning of the cycle, Saturn ingressed into Aries. So that was kind of interesting. So that's how Gemini season kicked off last year. Gemini cycle is beginning with Mercury, like I said, but this is happening, and we're beginning this Gemini season with a conjunction to Uranus, which is, like I said earlier, this has not happened. The last time Uranus was in Gemini was 1941 to 1949, and we have not had a Gemini season kicking off with Uranus present since then. So this is a brand new 8-year cycle for my mutable signs, especially my Geminis. Gemini, my other mutables, I'm going to have a lot to say on these next few weeks' episodes as we ingress and enter into Gemini season about that, but I'm just giving you the highlights. Gemini season is going to have double the air, double the energy, double the action, with the beginning starting with Mercury in Gemini and Uranus in Gemini. So get ready, double the air, double the energy, double the action, especially in general, but definitely for my mutable energy. Life is going to feel lifted for us all in the collective over the next few weeks. The energy, I'm almost done with this episode, the energy is going to bring communication with someone from the past that previously it just wasn't matching up, or not the person, not the place, not the thing. This is just really going to bring some unexpected communication, especially for my Geminis and my mutable energy out there. This is going to be a big theme around unexpected mental awareness, unexpected clarity, unexpected communication. With Gemini energy, you expect the unexpected and unpredictable, and even more now that we have Uranus. And that's what's so funny with Uranus being in this sign of Gemini, is Gemini is literally the most unpredictable sign out there, and totally themselves within that. And we just up the game of unpredictability and different and wacky and wild with Uranus being present. So with communication for my mutable signs, expect the unexpected. When it comes to communication, clarity, mental awareness, expect the unexpected. I will be back next week to share more on Gemini season. Happy grounded new moon, my loves. Allow this with Mercury there to ground you. That's what Mercury is there for right now. And I think this is good that Mercury is getting a grounded new moon before ingressing into Gemini season, where I said we can expect all the bigger, the louder, the airier, the crazier. So right now we are getting our minds grounded in the way we need for the action that is about to take off. I love you all. Thank you for supporting this podcast. The best way to support this podcast is to rate, review, write about, post about it. You guys do all those things, and we're almost to 300 episodes. And I just hit, since I turned it to the Weekly Awakening podcast, I just hit 50,000 downloads. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I can't thank you guys enough. So thank you for all you do. I love you all, and I'll be back next week.